Good morning, and welcome to the NCCR Podcast. As you may notice, my co-host chair is empty. My lovely husband stayed home today. Devandis is, I don't even know. So if anybody in a 5-minute radius of church would like to come and join me this morning as a co-host, that would be amazing. Oh, wait. Something's happening. Oh boy. Wait for it. Look who's back. Wow.
All the kids, party outside, party outside, party outside. Oh yeah. Guess who's back, baby? I got my own theme song.
That's not really your theme song.
It is if I,
If you say it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is
Okay.
what you say it is.
Oh, hey, Devandis. How are you?
I am fabulous. Oh my
Wow.
gosh, man.
Wow.
Man,
he's missed us all.
I definitely, I might be a little too loud. If I'm shouting
Never.
in your ears,
Never too loud.
please forgive me. But anyway, Kim, man, we did a 5-state tour in 11 days.
Well, you're kind of worldwide, so.
Oh yeah. So the kid was a little tired. But
Well, clearly you've recovered
well, because I knew I had to come on the show today
and pick up the energy. Is that
pick
what
up
you're
the-
saying?
just a little
I was
bit.
very energetic while you were gone.
And you know what?
Just ask the people.
I appreciate your energy.
Short-lived, but I did what I could.
But speaking of which, I'd be remiss if I did not acknowledge my guest co-host, Mr. Steve Matson. Your Steve.
My Steve.
He did a fabulous
One of the
job.
18 Steves at church, but
Well,
yeah.
hey, well, he's number one in your book.
he
though.
is.
And so, watching you two over the last 2 weeks, man, I was like, okay, I got my guest host in case you're out or in case I'm out.
Steve's he's now in
Yeah.
in the hopper for all sub
for
jobs.
all guest hosts. Steve, you're the man.
You've been
So
warned.
Keep
Don't act surprised.
Keep that the S signal because we'll be flashing it, and we expect for you to put the cape on in and come in and
Wow.
sit down in the hot seat.
Wow. Okay.
Kim, oh my gosh, my friend, I had missed you tremendously.
I've missed you too.
Oh man, and I'm glad to be back. Glad to be back. Glad to be back. So, like you said, guess who's back? All right. I don't know where I want to jump in on this, Kim. So I'm gonna start early in the show because I've been gone, and it's like getting back on the bike. What did you bring in today?
We're starting right
I'm
out.
starting right out. The
Okay.
gate.
Well, I was super excited to find this new cracker product.
A new cracker?
It's Townhouse.
Okay.
But it's Game Day Dippers, and if you can zoom in, well, you can't. There.
Well, yeah, I
Zoomed
can-
in.
yeah.
They're shaped like little footballs and football helmets, and
Perfect for dipping.
perfect for dipping
Okay.
while you're fellow shipping.
All right, and I saw
what I did there?
fellow shipping. I like that.
Wow.
And
Whoppers.
Whoppers.
I mean, hello. Kind of like the Seahawk win yesterday.
it was a Whopper.
I'm really glad that Denver lost. I'm just going to say that.
Oh gosh.
I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to say anything about Russell.
We don't want you to get on your soapbox.
I know.
The
I
Whoppers.
got an issue.
I like that Whopper because I'm dressed in Whopper colors. I'm always dressed in Whopper colors. Though.
Well, you technically are Whopper colors, but yeah, you were representing the Whopper today.
Yes,
and
I
you
am.
didn't even know I was going to bring that.
I did not know it, man. So hey, I guess that's the reason why
What a guy.
we work. We
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, a telepathetic connection.
All right. Hey
And
guys.
yes, I know I said that wrong.
Don't forget, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, hit that like button if you like the podcast. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And you can download the North Lake app and get us every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m.
What a treat.
So there's 3 ways to get in, get all this loveliness here.
Wow.
All right, Kim, Pastor Steve, Sunday, he was coming from Acts 2:42 through 47.
Mm-hmm.
He sprinkled in some other verses
There was
throughout the Bible.
a bit of sprinkling.
So what was your assessment of Pastor Steve's sermon?
Well, I think it was kind of a, excuse me, a look back on how the church has grown and all of the growing pains that it has gone through, much like real life today, even.
Yeah.
And then how we are to fellowship with one another and what that looks like. And when we're doing that and we're active in that, we're doing small groups, which just have kicked off, and we're having meals together, and we're having snacks together. It doesn't have to be a meal. It's just being in communion with each other.
Yeah.
And then what that looks like if we're not doing that, what that looks like for us and for others. There's loneliness, and there's depression and anxiety and fear, and we can do small things to alleviate that. For us and for those around us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
one
one thing that I appreciate, even back then when Pastor Steve, talked about this weeks back, was that the early church, they got together for devotion, for fellowship. And the thing that I loved most about it was it wasn't about the knowledge, right?
Right.
It was all about the application of life. Mm-hmm. What you have been taught, how will you apply it to life? Mm-hmm. And by them doing that, it just galvanized that community and just brought them together for breaking the bread, breaking the snacks, or whatever it may be, know. And I love what you just said there, the loneliness. Here's a stat for you. Pastor Steve brought it up in the sermon also. 50 to 75% of Americans classify themselves as lonely. And I think the COVID, the 2 years of COVID really pushed us, into the isolation.
Yeah.
Where,
and it's been hard for some people to come out of that.
Yes.
Even still.
Yes.
It's tricky. I mean, all the online things that people are still continuing to do, and the lack of engagement with other people. And, that was a big problem in multiple levels, but it is curious how people have chosen to
isolate themselves.
Yeah.
We're not meant to be isolated creatures.
Right.
We need that human connection. AI can't do it. The little robots they try to bring online, it's not going to do it because it doesn't have the ruach, which, those that study theology knows, it's that spirit, the spirit of God and stuff, because when he breathed that life into us, he gave a piece of himself into us, so we need that connection, that community. And what better way than to break bread? I always said this, and I credit my wife with this, and she always say it's kind of hard to hate someone that you break bread with.
Yeah. Right.
You don't have to agree with them, but it's kind of hard to hate them, because you're in fellowship with them. You're getting to know them more on an intimate level.
Right.
Right.
So. Right. Well, then Steve talked about, of course, the Great Commission to go out and make disciples, be a disciple who makes disciples. And that kind of poses a question. Do you feel you are a disciple maker? And, you can kind of take that any way you'd like. I mean, a lot of people maybe think it in their head that they are, but, and here's where it gets a little sticky without the action, not to say that action is the only way you can get something, accomplished like that, because we've seen other churches where they're all about action, but not the heart love behind it. It's just doing it because it's supposed to be done. So you still have to be conscientious about how you do that. But that is an actionable event. And for me, it is what we've talked about. It's the breaking bread with somebody or just sitting on a porch with somebody and talking. And you can't break down walls. You can't have deep conversations, and you certainly can't interject your faith as part of a conversation if you're not in communion with somebody, if you're not taking the time and the energy to invite them in
and to have that relationship.
Yeah.
That's a great question. And wow, Pastor Steve talked about this, and I'm guilty of this. I have always, coming from the South, growing up in the South, always tread lightly in situations and places and stuff until, I get a good gauge of it. And after 2020, with all the racial unrest that was going on in the country, I'll be the first to tell you, man, I'll be a little reluctant coming up, talking or knocking on someone's door. I'm not knocking on anyone's door. Not nowadays. Not in this day and age. I'm not knocking on anyone's door. But, I'll be a little hesitant of just going out and talking to someone that don't look like me. Right. It goes back to what we talked about, tribalism.
Yeah, and I think I would say the same thing. I mean, it's when you're stepping completely out of excuse me, your comfort zone, if you will.
See that?
we even clear our throats at the same time. Amazing. There is trepidation, right, in there, but we're supposed to be bold, and that's where fear gets in the way of us doing the thing we're called to do, and we all know that. Yep. But the prayerful ask for boldness and surety, knowing that this is what we're called to do, can certainly help us with that first step. And it is sometimes just a first step, because I know historically I have in the past built things up in my head, and when I actually do the thing, it's like, oh, it was nothing. That was easy.
Yeah. Even Pastor Steve talked about that, we have to get out our head, our own head space. Yeah. And, if God is for us, who can be against us? We know all these famous quotes and stuff like that, right? But are we seldom apply it.
Well, I think we hear them so often, and it makes you feel good in the moment, right? Yeah. But if you really take those words and kind of digest them and sit on it for a second before you do the thing that might be causing you some trepidation, there's just a lovely calmness in that, and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Thy will be done. And again, I've mentioned this before. I used to kind of whisper that part because I wasn't all in at that point, but it's exactly what it is. And we don't have to worry about things. We don't have to be fearful. It's okay to have a little bit of a zing before you do something. But I'm trying to turn that more into an excitement than a dread when there's situations like that. So.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
Yep.
Man, okay, Kim. I know my friend, my partner, you got a great question that you want to leave with the audience today.
So, having had this conversation, what are some of the hurdles that you encounter when you're trying to have a meal with somebody, invite somebody over to be in your space and in your time, and what gets in the way of you actually doing that? I mean, we've talked about at some point it's lip service, right? If you don't actually do the thing, it's never going to get done. And we can't be disciples who are trying to make disciples if we're fearful to even have somebody come over and have cheese and crackers and make it a big group, and then those big groups can become smaller groups, and it becomes, as you become more familiar. But if we don't boldly step into it, we're not going to be successful in the Great Commission.
You know what? I know. I'm sorry. We might run over a minute or two or whatever.
Shocker.
But when you just said boldly step into something, it brought back something to to my memory. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little tongue-tied here. But a few weeks ago, Steph and I officiated a wedding, right? And the couple, they had a lot of church hurt. And so they, Steph's like, hey, do you mind if we say a prayer in it? And because of the lifestyle that we lived and everything, they had no problem with it, right? And after the ceremony, a gentleman walked up to me and he said, you know what? I am so glad that you put God into this. And on top of that, another gentleman came up. He said, hey, he had this big smirk on his face. He said, hey, you think you could do this again? And I was like, so what I'm hearing you say is that you want us to perform your ceremony? He just had this sheepish grin and he was nodding.
That's
right?
Awesome.
So you just live it to the best of your ability. People will see the God in you. And sometimes Jesus you're going to be the only Jesus that they see.
Right.
You know,
right. That's so true.
And so it's great to live it too, you know.
Yeah.
And so I was telling our friends, you know, hey, let's get together. I said, yeah, let's do that. And also invite that couple.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Breaking the bread.
Yep.
Get to know each other. And
Yep.
then you just plant that seed and let someone else water, and God will bring you the increase.
Yep. Yep.
All right, folks. Thank you for this joining us and welcome me back to the podcast. And
Welcome back.
You get ready to go on a little vacay, right?
I am traveling east because there's not enough smoke here. With a couple girlfriends, we get together. We've known each other since I was a teenager, so about 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. She's so young, man. And young and vibrant.
Yeah, we're going to head east and just have a little girl time over there.
All
Yeah,
right.
it'll be fun.
Ain't nothing wrong with a little fellowship.
Yep.
All right, tune in next Tuesday. This wraps up the show for today. My name is Devanda Smith, and I'm back with my beautiful co-host, Miss Kim Matson. We will see you next week, and we are out.